Hello, I'm Kulich and I would like to show you a short tutorial on how to create skins for Assetto Corsa using GIMP. There are also going to be some tips specific for usage in the vintage AC community and how to create skins that can be used to race with this community. So first, I'll find the car that I want to create a skin for, which in my case is going to be the Modena Juniors ST60 because that's what we are going to be racing over on the weekend. I'll go to Manage Skins and I'll take the first skin that is already created and clone it. In Vintage AC Community, the ID to be used is in this format, which is the racing number underscore VAC underscore my name underscore version, which in this case is version 1. I can see that it created a new clone of the skin. The name has not changed because it's only the ID that is set there, so I'll change the name to be the same as the ID. And save it. Then I'll open the car in Content Manager Showroom, and here I can get textures that the car is using by clicking on the body part that I want to be editing. In this case, I want to be editing the body, and you can see all the textures in this dialog window. If you want to edit any other part like tires, rims, or anything else, you can click on the body part and you will see the textures that are used over here. But let's go back to the body. The diffuse texture is the one that we are going to be editing now. So I click the 3 dots and you can see that the texture map is shown here. I can calculate the AO, which AO is ambient occlusions, so the shadows of the car. I can calculate in different sizes or just a custom one. For this one, I'll just use the 2K by 2K. And then I can save the calculated AO. I'll go into the skin that I've just created and save it, which will overwrite the original texture. It's now saved, and if I close it, you will see that the car is now purely white. So this is the first step in the process. We now have a blank skin to work on. Next, I'll go back to Content Manager and click on the folder, which opens the folder with all the currently used textures for the car. I'll open the skin DDS, which we just created, and you will see it will try to load the MIP maps, which we do not want. So let's untick that and press OK. And you will see that the skin is completely transparent right now. And you will see that in the channels, the alpha channel is full black, which means it's completely transparent. We want to change that, so I'll untick the alpha channel, go back to the layers, and create new layer from visible. You will see that it now created a layer that actually has the alpha channel as completely white, so I'll leave it there, which white means that it's completely visible. I no longer need the original layer, so I'll just hide it. We now want the skin to actually be partially transparent. We want the shadows to stay visible because they should be over everything, and we want the white color to not be visible because that's where our actual skin color will be and other parts of the skin. So I'll go to color to alpha It's preset to white, and you can see that when you have the transparency threshold on 0 and opacity threshold at 1, it's going to be the white color is going to be completely transparent, and the black color is going to be completely opaque. If I click OK, I now have the basis for my skin. So that's step 2. Step 3 is going to be actually creating the color and other parts of my skin. So first thing what I'll do right now is save my work. I'm going to save it as XCF because that's the GIMP. That's what GIMP uses. So I'll just save this. And then I'll create new layer group. That is really useful to be able to work with multiple layers, because then I can just export the whole layer group. Do not need to merge everything together. And I'll create from this new layer, which should be the same size as the original one, which is 2K. I'll put it below this one. This one should always be above everything else. And I can hide this one, so I'll see that this layer is just completely empty. I can now use the bucket fill tool to add color to the skin. So I'll just fill this layer with completely blue color. If I now show the other layer as well, you'll see that it has the blue color that I just selected, but also the shadows that are calculated from the ambient occlusion. If I want to see my skin on the actual car, I'll click the layer group, go to File, Export As, and select the skin 00DDS. It's going to prompt me to replace, which I want to do. It will prompt me to export as DDS. I'll leave everything as default and click Export. If I now go back to Content Manager, you'll see that my car is nice and blue. Just for your information, just to see, if I would not export the shadows, it would still work. So I can press, now that I've already exported it, I can do export skin to 00DDS by just pressing Ctrl E. So I'll select the layer group and press Ctrl plus E. And you will see that the car is still blue, but it is flat blue. It does not have the shadows that I would otherwise get. I'll just show you fast because the change is not. So you see that the shadows just popped up a little bit. So that's my skin color done. And the next step is just going to be details. The first detail that I want to do is to create a number for my car. So I want to actually create a new layer. You will see why a bit later. I will name it number. I'll make it 400 by 400. That's probably going to be too big. So 300 by 300. We can change that later as well, but here is my new layer. I'll move it to the place where I want it to be. Be careful, it's important to have the move the active layer clicked, because otherwise if the layer is transparent and you have the pick a layer or guide, you cannot move this layer because it's completely empty. So move the active layer. You'll move it to the place where you want the number, and then you select the paintbrush size. You select the size that you want. Let's say this is too small, so let's just up it a little bit. and I probably want it to be white, so I'll just create a white background for the color and then add a text on top of it. Again, I can choose size. I can choose color, which white is not the best because it would be white on white. Let's use blue, and let's add 60. Pressing escape cancels it and leaves it as a number. I'll get the number inside. Might be too big, so I'll just use the scale tool to scale it a little bit, move it around where I want it to, and press the scale. So now I have my number inside of a blue circle. I will go merge down so that I merge it into one layer, which is now a white circle with number 60 in it. The reason why I've did it as a separate layer is because now I can duplicate this layer, move it around, and move it to a place where I want the number as well. I'll scale it a little bit. And I want this layer, which is the shadows, to be on top of everything else. And then if I export this, again, press Ctrl E, you should see that my number is in the front and my number is in the back. You can see that it's turned around. So let's fix that by going layer, transform, rotate 180. And again, Ctrl E to export. And you should have 60 on the back, 60 in the front. And here is my car. That's the skin done. I'll save my work so that I can come back to it later. And there are just a couple more things to do to finish the skin. First is to create this preview file. It's done by doing the update preview. If you can just click the update preview, which will use the last used setting. You can also select a preset, the default Kunos one, which just looks like this, or you can even go to options, which will show you the same as normally Content Manager. You can move around, you can play around with the scene, do a lot of things, and once you are done, you just click update selected skin. You can either do it with confirmation, which will show you how it looks, or without. I like this look. Click OK. And that should be my preview updated. I'll update the driver as well. Country. And number. And there is only one last thing to update, which is the livery icon. That's the icon that's going to be shown here. It automatically can generate a livery icon with the number and color. So if you want, you can do it this way, which is perfectly fine. It's going to just change to white on blue. If you want to be a little bit more fancy, you can go back to your project, create a new file, 64 by 64, and then you can copy your number, press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V here, scale the layer so that it fits the 64 by 64. You also, and then create a new layer out of it. You also want to color the background with the same blue color so that it's nice and similar to what is on the car. Then merge the layer down, so now you have it both as a nice color on a circle, and then export this as delivery PNG. You can see that the preview before was just 6 in white color on blue. If I export and replace, I'll use the defaults again. You will see in Content Manager that it now has the icon with our actual number style on it. And that's it. That's the skin done. I want to save it as well because I've updated the driver number and country, which needs to be saved. For vintage AC, the next step would be to pack the skin, which is done by just control clicking on the skin, pressing the pack, and getting into the zip archive. And then you can just drag and drop this zip file into the race reservation channel and send it, which will upload it to the server for your usage. Thank you for watching, and I'll probably create a couple more tutorials for some other parts of the skin creation.